a brand new episode of the podcast entitled Couch Potatoes Unite! ! Which is based on a blog of the same name because we will defend our branding until we're canceled. After all, we're the immortal Couch Potatoes Unite! Ted. Okay, I tried something there, but I sense it didn't work so well. It's okay. Fine. If at first you don't succeed. My name is Kylie, and I love TV. If you feel the same, keep listening and or checking out our website, couchpotatoesunite.wordpress.com, as you're bound to find some common ground or something you like. For Couch Potatoes Unite, we're all about the wonders and unique long-form storytelling of the small screen. CPU! Hopes you've been following releases of brand new episodes of the podcast on Wednesdays, as well as new blog entries on some Tuesdays, and as always, we have several more new episodes on the way. Because the panelists and I live lives behind our podcast, the episodes are published once per week. Subscribe to the blog or the podcast via iTunes, Stitcher Radio, and via Google Play to stay on top of brand new episodes. Episodes already published discuss a variety of shows around the water cooler, including, but not limited to, Game of Thrones, Broadchurch, Stranger Things, iZombie, The X-Files, Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., New Girl, The Originals, Supernatural, The Crown, Once Upon a Time, Will and Grace, and the Arrowverse on the CW. Plus, new episodes are in the works, including revisits for 13 Reasons Why, Orange is the New Black, Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt, Grace and Frankie, Fuller House, American Horror Story, Doctor Who, A Series of Unfortunate Events, The Good Place, Gotham, Schitt's Creek, Arrested Development, and the Marvel's Defenders panel will talk Season 3 of Daredevil. We'll be launching new panels covering Westworld, Jane the Virgin, The Americans, Riverdale, The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, and Altered Carbon. And because we look back at shows now past, we'll be launching our new Mega Star Trek retrospective into space, The Final Frontier, in the near future. Plus, we'll take a smallish look back at a short-term show from some yesteryear called Freaks and Geeks. What's more, CPU is going live again. We've been planning some live events again, as I've been repeatedly alluded to in these introductions, and we're super excited about them. Our next such event is a special live podcast coming up on March 31st, 2019, when we visit new local business Blue Bridge Games in Grand Rapids, Michigan, following their gracious sponsorship of CPU's most recent appearance at Grand Rapids Comic-Con, when we engaged in our Star Trek Versus debate. At BBG on March 31st, 2019, we'll be taking a shiny look back at Firefly with a special one-time looking back panel, including a special guest and a few of our special usual surprises in store. Plus, as always, we also have more live appearances and other cool stuff being planned, so make sure you like or follow us at our Facebook page, our Twitter at CPU Podcast, our Instagram at Couch Potatoes Unite, or subscribe to the blog, our YouTube channel, our iTunes channel, our Stitcher Radio channel, or find us on Google Play. In the meantime, if you don't hear a show in this podcast format, fellow panelists and I still write reviews, and we always seek new panelists. So if you have any interest in joining the discussion, say hello by finding us at any of those outlets I've mentioned. At the very least, stop by and leave us a thumbs up, comment, or review. We like feedback. Just don't cancel us. Oh, wait, you can't, because that's not how podcasts work. At least not podcasts like ours. Huzzah! Today we're around the water cooler as a continuation of our Marvel's Defenders podcast series. This series formally did not have a fixed number of episodes like other series we do. Rather, it had been ongoing, given the fact that streaming service Netflix created various series with the aim of combining all of the protagonists into a crossover miniseries called The Defenders, except in the last 6 months, Netflix has proceeded to cancel all of these series, putting this panel's ongoing, non-fixed days into the decidedly not ongoing and more fixed column. With that said, welcome to the 11th episode of our Marvel's Defenders panel. In this series, we've already discussed Seasons 1 and 2 of Daredevil, Seasons 1 and 2 of Jessica Jones, Seasons 1 and 2 of Luke Cage, Seasons 1 and 2 of Iron Fist, and the first season of The Punisher, and the only season of The Defenders. Wow. Yep. Today we launch a new feature on CPU called Cancel Corner, wherein we discuss the untimely cancellation of shows that survived a season or two at most, only to find themselves unceremoniously axed by their sponsoring networks.
Thanks, Disney.
Right. Because we recorded our most recent reviews of Luke Cage and Iron Fist prior to the announcements of their unceremonious cancellations, and because the future of any additional Defenders crossovers has officially been foretold, at least by our unofficial non-sponsor Netflix, our panel is going to take a moment to react to the cancellations of Luke Cage and Iron Fist, and as a result, The Defenders, before moving ahead in the series to review the final seasons of Daredevil and The Punisher, and when it is released, of Jessica Jones. With that said, today, in the 11th episode of our Marvel's Defenders series, our Defenders panel, all of whom should be familiar to anyone who's listened to previous chapters in this series, namely Krista, Nick, Kyle, Hillary, and Spencer, forgoes the usual plot summary and the standard CPU character question that changes with each show we do in order to pause and reflect on the series that once were, and to speculate upon what the future might bring, if anything, for these characters and properties. They will also reminisce about our prior discussions of these series with some of that future in stone. For detailed plot summaries of Luke Cage, Iron Fist, and The Defenders, as we've been covering these shows on the podcast since the beginning, check out the website, couchpotatoesunite.wordpress.com. If you didn't already know, you can click the floating box at the top right of the header, the picture of a couch full of united couch potatoes, to search for any prior podcast episode or blog entry, which is frankly pretty super. For now, because our panel is ready to prime their defenses regarding the cancellations of the Defender properties on Netflix, I want to remind listeners that all of our panelists have viewed all seasons of all Defenders solo series and the crossover miniseries to date, and may discuss sensitive plot points from any or all of them. So for those of you who have not watched any of the Defenders properties at all, listen at your own risk, as there may be major spoilers. Welcome back, panel. How are you?
Great.
Hi.
Awesome.
Grumpy.
Why are you
Because they cancelled some good shows.
Agreed! But
Bastards.
let's not... I know.
Yeah, we'll get into it.
Yeah, we'll get into it.
We're all a little grumpy and sad.
Aww. Well, let's talk about this. Before we do, though, what I'd like you to do, because this is Cancel Corners is new, this is something I've been stewing upon for a while, but it's the first time we're running this feature. What I'd like you to do is introduce yourself again by your first name, because that's what we already do. Remind the listener why you watched each of these shows. You can give one answer for all three, because really it's the same. And then qualify that you've watched all of them, and then we're going to talk about your character progression. So you're going to kind of remind us how you felt about Luke Cage, how you felt about Iron Fist, and how you felt about the Defenders. And go.
Hi, I'm Spencer.
Hi, Spencer.
Hi.
Hey.
And I watch these shows because I love comic book properties, and seeing them realised on the small screen after years of only being able to see them on the small pages was kind of a dream. As a young child reading these properties and seeing them brought to life was just fantastic, and done so well considering the stuff that was done in the 80s wasn't. So that's why I watched
Gotta
it.
start somewhere.
Yep.
So remind us how you felt about Luke Cage, Iron Fist, and the Defenders.
Alright, so I loved Iron Fist. Well, more so the second season than the first. The first had some holes, but the second season was far, far better. I never really got into Luke Cage. It was plodding at best. And Defenders should have been so much better than it was.
Welcome back, Spencer.
Thank you.
Nick here.
Hi, Nick here.
I
Fun
tried to
name.
remember back so long ago when
So many
Far,
episodes.
So many
A
seasons.
long time
so
ago in a
many
galaxy
shows.
far, far away.
That's
that.
a different thing.
Oh, man.
A different podcast, which we won't do.
yeah.
Yeah.
I remember reading about Netflix announcing these shows, and I was kind of excited about. I really had only heard of Daredevil when they were talking about it, but was excited to learn more about the other Marvel characters and to see what they were going to create. So I kind of think I dove right in once I had Netflix.
You did. It is actually because of you that this panel launched.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I don't remember.
And that was before Hillary and Kyle were deeply CPU, as it were.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I remember reading that in my apartment before I was in my house. So that was probably 5 years ago, 6 maybe.
Oh
Seems like
my
forever.
gosh.
You.
Uh-huh.
Uh-huh.
Wow.
And then there's the 3 shows we're talking about, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Luke Cage, didn't love the first season.
Yeah, you were Mariah. You were like the bottom of the list.
Yeah. I did like the second season more. And then for Iron Fist, I enjoyed the first season. And then the second season was a lot better. And then Defenders, I really enjoyed. And we'll probably get into it more, but I really wanted to see those 4 characters brought back together. And it doesn't look like that's going to happen ever.
Or at least not for 2 years, but we'll talk about that.
Yeah.
Welcome back, Nick.
Thanks.
Well, did that conclude your remarks?
Yeah.
Okay. Then welcome back.
Deep breath. Thanks.
I'm Kyle.
Hi,
Hi, Kyle.
Are you
Hi.
going to do the disclaimer since you're going first?
My wife is Hillary,
That's true.
and she's the sister of the founder of this.
That's nice.
You said founder.
Well, it is
You
true.
switched it up, see?
Yeah.
Nice
I was trying
variety.
to think of a way to mix it up.
Hashtag variety.
I've been obsessed with Daredevil comics. I think since I was like 4, my dad was reading them to me. He's always been my favorite superhero, so there's no way I was going to miss any of these series.
Your dad was Daredevil.
Daredevil.
Maybe his dad is Daredevil and we just don't know.
That'd be cool.
I've met him. I don't think so, but that's
He's not quite that spry. So as soon as these were announced, there was no way I was not going to watch them. And for the most part, I've loved them except for Luke Cage. I didn't like it. For me, it always felt like a wasted opportunity. Even the second season, which more people forgave than me, but for me, it's just I was still disconnected. I never actually felt as connected as I did to the others.
True, you were at the bottom of the list both seasons.
Yeah. Iron Fist, I love both seasons almost equally. I know a lot of people had their gripes about the first season being kind of slow, but I knew what they were building up towards. And so little things in each episode that I knew had bigger implications, I was very excited about. And for the most part, season 2 fulfilled that, and I was very excited for where it was going to go from there. Before, obviously, and then Daredevil's like my favorite show on TV ever. So that one hurt. I'm really going to miss it.
Well, we'll talk about that in our Daredevil chapter. How did you feel about the Defenders?
Defenders, I enjoyed it. I built it up in my head, I think, more. I had some problems. Yeah, I had very high expectations, mostly being how they kept them apart for like half of the short run and the villains. But overall, seeing them interact with each other was very fulfilling. And then they could have built off that for something amazing for a second season, which we're also not getting.
At least not for 2 years.
Yeah.
Welcome back, Kyle.
Hi, I'm Hillary.
Hi, Hillary.
The
Hashtag
wife-
doesn't need the disclaimer.
Right, the
Right.
wife, as Kyle said.
/ the sister.
Yes. I am
No,
feeling
don't slash her.
very...
It would hurt.
Yeah.
Aww,
Oh, you
not
can't be
that
violent. There's no boy next to you.
I know.
Just reach across.
dark.
I'm hearing some similarities, but I basically started watching these shows. Also very into comic book properties, as everyone here's pretty much also said. I agree with everything that Spencer said. It's very exciting to see these things come to life. There was a time that nobody thought this was ever going to happen, and every time they develop something new, it's exciting to go into that, seeing what's going to happen with it. And also, as Kyle just said, with his obsession of Daredevil and the characters surrounding Daredevil, because he is kind of at the center of all of those characters, I was going to have to watch it one way or another. I would have already wanted to, but I was going to have to.
So you're obligated no matter what.
Yes, but I also wanted to. Similarities with the feelings on all the shows. Never really got into Luke Cage. The second season I did feel was an improvement, but as I said in previous recordings, there were times that I had to, as non-drinker, get through it with some wine because I knew I had to watch it, but it's not my favorite by far. I did really like Iron Fist a lot. Kind of with Kyle on that one. I actually really liked both seasons. There were flaws with the first one, but I liked them equally. I do think the second season had a little bit more of a bang. And Defenders, same thing. I kind of went into it with high expectations. I think they could have done more with it. Maybe it could have happened with more episodes. But overall, I still really enjoyed it because anytime the characters get together and team up, I just really enjoy that. Get pretty excited about it.
Welcome back, Hillary.
Hi, I'm Kristen.
Hi, Kristen.
Hi. You guys pretty much all know my story, but I have to say it again and get ridiculed again, so here we go.
But it's tradition.
It is tradition. And there's only so many times left, so here we go. I'm the non-comic book reader of the group. I'm the everyman or the everywoman of this group. So, yeah, I saw that Netflix was coming out with Daredevil. Oh, okay, I don't really know what that is. I watched the Ben Affleck movie with Jennifer Garner back in the day. You know,
We all did.
I like
Some of us did.
I like Jennifer Garner, which is why I watched it because I was a big Alias fan back in the day. So, Daredevil, whatever. I kind of passed on it, and
Based on that, I wouldn't blame you.
right, so, you know, like whatever. But then I saw that they were releasing Jessica Jones a couple months later, and I'm like, this looks intriguing. It's a female-led superhero show. I like Kristen Ritter. I really love David Tennant.
Hearts.
So many hearts. So many hearts. So that automatically got me interested. And because I loved it, talked to Kylie about it, and she's like, hey, we're starting this new panel of the Marvel's Defender series. You want to be on it, but you're going to have to watch everything. I'm like, sure, I've already watched Jessica Jones, and I love it. And then I had to go back and watch Daredevil. And so that means I watched the first 2 shows out of order, and that has haunted me ever since.
Because you said, it isn't that you watched it out of order.
But it's because I said I did not like Daredevil season 1.
Correct.
I liked Jessica Jones season 1
Correct.
a ton. So
Hashtag
that is
fail.
yeah. But I still do. I'm
You're being very
I'm
patient.
still not a fan of Daredevil season 1 as a whole. I Still love Jessica Jones season 1 as a whole. However, my opinions of the shows have changed over time. However, with the 3 that we are discussing today...
Hashtag however.
However, I have, been enlightened by this lovely group of people, and their comic book ways and their teachings have enlightened my viewing of these shows. So, Luke Cage, still don't like it. Didn't like season 1. Liked season 2 better, but still it's kind of at the bottom of the barrel for me. I just really couldn't get into this show. I really liked him in Jessica Jones, did not like him on his own show. Iron Fist I liked better. Season 1 was still better than Luke Cage as a whole. However, season 2 of Iron Fist was really, really good. That sucked when that got canceled. The Defenders, I like Kylie's description of me, how she says I was Team Jessica Jones, because I'm always going to be Team Jessica Jones, with the Daredevil description, quote, because some people tried to buck stuff in a very good and a twisty way.
Because that's what you
That's
did.
what I do.
You said, I'm Team Jessica Jones, but with the Daredevil description. And that's not how that works.
It's not how it works, but that's how I work. Because I'm always going to be Team Jessica
Please
Jones.
enunciate next time you say that sentence.
Sorry.
Just saying.
Whatever. I'm a little stuffed up because it's cold and flu season in Michigan.
All I heard was butt stuff, and I'm like, what?
No, Buck.
That's
B-U-C-K.
a whole other thing.
Yeah, no.
I know. I'm like, wait, where's this going?
No.
That sounds worse.
I know. So, yeah. So I'm always going to be Team Jessica Jones, even if Daredevil is a little better. Which you're not going to hear me say very often. But yeah, so the Defenders...
Can we cut that little bit and use it
I'll
as a
highlight
sounder?
it. Sure.
Yeah. But yeah, the Defenders, I, like the rest of you, I was so excited. I was, wanting to see these 4 characters together seemed awesome. And then, like Kyle said, they kept them apart for way too long. But when we did see them together, it was great. I love when they do crossovers on these shows, even if it's just the side characters making appearances. I feel like it just really enriches the universe and these shows together, and I really was hoping for more of that. Yeah, sad to see some of the shows go more than others, but yeah, we'll see what happens in the future.
Welcome back, Kristen. And of course, I'm Kylie. I'm moderating this circus, but I also participate in it because I'm a clown. And so, the reason why I watch these shows is basically because Nick told me about it, and Kyle told me about it, and Hillary told me about it. Mostly Nick and Kyle, though, because Kyle's very excited about that old Daredevil business. And Nick was like, hey, there's this thing, and it's going to happen, and they're going to make the Defenders, and they're going to cross it over, and it's starting with Daredevil. Maybe we should do a podcast panel about that. That really happened. True stories. And so I was like, okay. I didn't really know anything about Marvel back then. That was much more DC onto the skew there. Not that I wasn't trying to watch the MCU, but I just didn't know anything about these characters, aside from the Ben Affleck movie, which was very disappointing.
Yep.
Because I don't really like him anyway.
He should never be a superhero.
No! But that's another podcast.
Yep.
And then I kept watching them because I generally enjoy these shows. In fact, I've become quite an obsessive with certain properties. Not Luke Cage. I echo everybody else's sentiments. I started off not really loving it. I don't think I hated it quite as much as everybody else did. But I certainly didn't love it by any stretch of the imagination. It was very slow in plotting. It did get better in the second season. I did like it better, but it is probably my least favorite of the 5 solos, if you include the Punisher. Iron Fist I loved. I loved from the beginning, and I loved it even more with intensified glowing fist chi in the second season, and I'm the most disappointed, other than Daredevil, about that cancellation. And the Defenders, I walked in with 0 expectations, so I didn't really have any kind of feelings about the Defenders other than I was super excited to see them all together. And then when I watched it, I really loved it. And then Kyle was like, no, the hand is bad and things are bad. That's how that discussion went, Kyle. So I didn't know how I felt about it in the end. But I still feel that The Defenders was super good. I watched it twice. I really enjoyed it. It's mostly their interactions, but that's what we all live for.
You have to admit, though, the whole Dragon Bone MacGuffin thing was pretty lame.
It was, but I wasn't really watching for that, Kyle. I was watching for the 4 Defenders together. And it lived up to my 0 expectations. Don't you see? So that's where we all are. Okay, so we've refreshed. Now you remember. You can go back and listen to the episodes that deal with each of the seasons of those 3 shows. But now what we're going to talk about is the cancellations themselves. So this is kind of whoever wants to talk talks. Did Luke Cage, Iron Fist, and the Defenders each, or effectively, deserve to be canceled why or why not. And I did note in the talking points, The Defenders was intended as a one-off miniseries, though there was preliminary discussion, although very preliminary, about doing more. So, did it deserve to be canceled? Did all of them deserve to be canceled? Why or why not?
I'm going to say no, and no. Although we as a group didn't really like Luke Cage, there were a lot of people out there that did.
Mm-hmm.
It had the viewership that should have been able to keep it going. This decision is solely a Disney decision after some negotiation breakdowns with Netflix, but it's purely driven because Disney is going to have their own streaming service, and eventually these will probably be rebooted and go up on the Disney service as opposed to Netflix. The cancellation has got nothing to do with the content.
No, yeah, I completely agree. Disney is at the point now, especially with launching their own service and with the recent acquisition of Fox, Disney now owns, by default, 60% of Hulu. And Hulu also has Marvel properties on it prior to the merger as well. So Disney is at the point where they are starting to consolidate where their properties are being streamed. And
they're weeding out.
They're weeding everything out, and they're consolidating.
And, I mean, I don't even think it necessarily goes up to the Disney level. On the Marvel level, they've been pulling all their properties back under their own banner. They acquired Fox just to get X-Men back, and just to get the Fantastic Four and the Skrulls so that they could use them. All these Avengers villains that they couldn't use. They're bringing everything directly under their control. They don't like sharing it with anybody. At the time, Netflix was their only option, but now all these other options are opening up because of Disney, but I think they're always going to pull as many of their characters back as they could.
Yeah, a lot of that Fox buyout was about getting some of the Marvel properties back, although I started to find out some very interesting things that were going on behind. They're facing some massive lawsuits from various producers and creators because Fox was doing some very creative back-end selling for syndication stuff that people are missing out on millions and millions of dollars, and Disney's going to be left carrying that bag.
And probably going to be facing some antitrust litigation just because they've gotten really, 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 really big. And these mergers are pushing them into
monopoly territory.
Yeah, monopoly territory. They're up against Warner Brothers, Universal, and then a couple of other movie studios. Otherwise, it's basically them. So Paramount still out. MGM has a small.
They're like Bond.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
So there isn't a lot left in terms of the major studios. But, I mean, I think I would agree, though I don't know that it's going to go to Disney+. I agree with Kristen. I think Disney Plus is supposed to be family-friendly. That's what they're branding it as.
Yeah.
But because they now own Fox, or will own Fox whenever that changeover happens, even if they don't put it on Hulu, they can also put it on cable networks that Fox owns, like FX or FXX.
Yeah, don't be surprised, though, if Disney Plus has a After Dark.
Yeah, like that's what I was going to say, like an adult subset of it.
Or an all-Marvel subset.
Yes, or some version of that.
Would not
because
be
they'll
surprised
just,
at all, because
I mean, it's just more money for them.
If they can do it all on one platform, it makes more sense from a business perspective. So I would not be surprised if you have Disney Plus and then for an extra $2 you can get the Disney Plus Marvel or Disney Plus After Dark or whatever they decide to call it.
I just don't even think they're necessarily going to bring them back as the shows. All their big stars, Thor, Captain America, their contracts are up.
That's true. They're going to the fourth, whatever you call it.
And so now they're looking for more new people to carry the franchises, like Captain Marvel. They have her under a 7-movie contract now. I think they're going to be looking for more big name heroes, and Daredevil's one of them. I don't know about the other shows, but I would be willing to bet the next time we see Daredevil's in a movie.
Do you think it'd be Charlie Cox?
Yeah, he said he's still great in terms of Marvel, and he's willing to come back.
Actually, the entire Daredevil cast, although this is for the Daredevil chapter, has been talking about how they would totally come back and do whatever.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
And Marvel said they would be willing to work with him even if it takes out so long and he's working on another show. They would wait till he was available.
They say that now, but the realities of that, if he gets in another show and after the first season it's a big hit, he could be tied up forever.
It depends on the type of show.
Benedict Cumberbatch show.
If it's network, that becomes harder because it's 24 episodes, but if he finds projects that aren't or are similar to what Netflix does, which more and more are doing,
well, that was part of the problem between Netflix and Disney. Netflix wanted to drop all of the shows to 10 episodes. And Disney Marvel didn't want to drop it down that far. I think in a lot of ways that would have benefited Luke Cage greatly if it was only 10
Yeah.
episodes.
I think it would have benefited all of them. The worst case scenario when you drop a season down episodes is people go, we want more. So then you make another season.
I agree regarding Jessica Jones and Luke Cage. I think both of those series could have benefited from reduction. Iron Fist and Daredevil were pretty fertile, and I don't feel like any of their... And this is, again, we'll talk more about Daredevil when we get to that chapter, but I don't feel like any of their episodes, the episodes in those series were wasted. Although Iron Fist Season 2 was already down to the 10, so it wasn't 13.
I'd agree Jessica Jones Season 2 would have been.
Right.
Season 1 was near enough to perfect TV in a lot of ways.
It was very good. I did mean Season 2.
I was helping you with a little clarification.
Yes, because I would like to see as much David Tennant as possible. Just
Always.
saying. Always.
And
Keep it
from-
PG rated, please.
What did I say?
Want to see all of
It was-
it?
You said you'd like to see as much of him as possible.
Yeah, I was going to
So-
say, it was the ambiguous statement, but just roll with it.
Oh,
Because it's the
Yes.
Not untrue. It's not
hashtag hearts, hearts, hearts. So everybody agrees that does everybody agree that they did not deserve to be canceled,
No.
but
No.
for the business decision
They-
here?
Correct.
They didn't deserve to
100%.
be canceled. I think a flip side to that question you asked is Luke Cage is the one of these three that we're talking about that I'm the least disappointed because it was canceled. Like I don't feel like I'll miss out with so much other content out there. I'm not crying about it. But Iron Fist, season 2 was better and they ended
They set
with
it
a
up
lot
so
of promise
well for season
so much
3.
more.
Yeah. And I mean, when you first heard of the Luke Cage and the Iron Fist cancellation, I just figured, they're going to roll them into Heroes for Hire and announce that pretty soon. I was completely not ready about the other shows, especially Daredevil, Punisher.
They may yet do Heroes for Hire, though, because that's one way they could recycle the property
Yeah.
without having to get into the weird legal stickiness of...
I really don't see that happening, because if it is, everything is on hold for 2 years,
That's
won't.
what the contracts
they
say. They
will
cannot
not.
use the characters for 2
Yeah.
years after Netflix stops.
Yeah.
Isn't that nice?
2 years from the date that Luke Cage and Iron Fist.
We're canceled.
From
Or from the cancellation.
announcements.
Yeah.
Well,
So Luke
time's
Cage...
going by fast, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Luke Cage and Iron Fist could technically be used first, then Daredevil, then Punisher, and Jessica Jones could be used.
The real question, though, is can they go into production?
Yeah, that's...
Because, I mean, almost movie production, they take 2 years anyway. That's how much Marvel's time between films is. So if they can start production,
That- yeah,
it's really not... The
that's
weight
where-
doesn't
that's where it
feel
gets
anywhere
tricky.
near that.
That's
bit.
more, and there's-
Yeah, that's a weird legalese.
That's the first thing I thought of with... This is more for Daredevil, but that's the show I was like, can they just start production and then wait to release it?
They haven't released the full contract. It's just bits and blurbs that they
Jeez,
release.
Kylie, get us that contract.
You know, I'm not a lawyer. I just play one on TV.
You're not trying
Call
hard enough.
Foggy.
Call Murdoch and Nelson. No, Murdoch.
And Paige.
Paige.
And Paige. Well, she's just an investigator.
Yeah.
But that's
That's
for
what we
the
need.
Daredevil podcast. Well, I am an
You say
investigator.
investigator, I say annoyance. But hey.
That
Next.
is for the Daredevil podcast. So,
Jeez, Spencer, how dare you bring up the Daredevil?
yeah, right. So Netflix greenlit these shows. In your opinion, what do you think motivated those decisions?
To get a piece of the superhero pie.
Yeah. I mean, superheroes
Yeah,
were like the biggest thing at the box office.
Well,
so
yeah,
they
with
needed a
Marvel
corner.
being as huge as it was at the box office, it was purely about getting more subscribers, more money. It was every decision that Netflix makes is about getting more eyeballs on the screen so that they can
I mean,
make
it
more
worked
money.
for me. I
Right,
barely
well, they
watched
also
Netflix
they were
before
smart because
Daredevil.
They do it well.
They gave the shows a big enough budget and they got the right cast to do it in the right way.
Kyle, repeat what you just said.
What?
Repeat what you just
Oh, I
said.
was saying it worked because I almost never watched Netflix before Daredevil. Daredevil was on, I watched it, and then I,
Yeah,
learned
he would
more
just
with
kind of
Netflix.
come in and out. I mean, that was a long time ago, as you pointed out at this point. So there wasn't probably as much content that he was interested in at that time.
I mean, I mostly buy
So-
movies that I want to watch, so
Yeah.
I never felt the need to stream anything until the show was
I
on.
don't know if I had Netflix yet back then. I remember that's when I was using the Hulu, just regular Hulu, where you can watch the most 5 episodes. I wasn't paying for any streaming services yet. We also had free cable in the apartment. Maybe this is why I started buying Netflix. I just can't remember.
I've had Netflix a long time.
Me
so
too.
It was just a matter of.
I was going to say, I always watch various things, but he was obviously super excited. I was excited because it's a comic book thing.
I was excited because everybody else was excited.
That's right! Word of
That's all.
mouth.
Word of mouth. So what would you say to the Netflix head today, given the quick cancellations of these 3 shows? Do you think they betrayed their initial motivations, or was it all Disney? Do you think they had any control?
I don't
I don't think they had any control.
No control.
It sounded like
they were being quiet about it at first, but eventually, after I think the second cancellation, they pretty much said
They had to say
it wasn't our choice.
Yeah.
I honestly think that even though negotiations, quote unquote, broke down, I think Disney was looking for any excuse to have negotiations break down so they could pull the properties.
Like, I agree. There
I think
wasn't.
I think Disney was going in looking for a reason to cancel the shows, to pull them from Netflix, to move them to a more Disney-owned service.
I'm nervous. I still probably will get Disney Plus, but I was hoping it would include at least any new Marvel shows too, because I wouldn't mind keeping up with that.
Well, they are introducing some. They're the Loki.
Loki and the
property.
Scarlet Witch.
Scarlet Witch are both going to be on Disney Plus.
That's family friendly.
I don't know. Maybe Loki cleaned
The
up
Loki
his
one's
act.
going to be more like a comedy of him throughout human history,
do you
messing
see-
with humans.
And I don't think that'll matter. Do you see how many, smaller...
I think they'll be very much the tone of the movie, kind of like
Yeah.
PG-13 with
Yeah.
So
Comic
you go from the
relief.
Descendants
Yeah.
to...
I know some of the shows they're gearing up more. A lot of some of the more animated shows with like more mature comedy for Hulu.
I did hear that they're just opening the vault on this.
Yeah,
so.
they're
Yeah,
just
all
released
the
that.
movies.
We'll see if it's really all
except
the
for
movies.
Song of the South.
Yeah, that one's never coming back.
Yeah, which is good.
Right.
Hashtag racist.
That actor was nominated for an Oscar.
This was a different time and a different podcast that we're not going to do.
Fine.
So, if these characters did find new homes,
Yeah, we would all watch. Come on, Kylie.
was that the question?
That's not where she's going.
Oh.
Read the email.
Correct!
Oh, man.
If these characters found new homes, whether it's Disney Plus, Hulu, Fox, FX, whatever, would you want to see the shows change their format? Explain.
You explain. What do you mean change their format?
Like, for example,
That
would
was
you
so
want to
crazy.
see the same, like basically a continuation of what you already saw on Netflix, or would you want to see something
See,
different?
for most of them, I want them to be similar to the Netflix, except for Luke Cage. I feel like he would thrive more in a movie with big special effects budget. He's
Or Heroes for Hire.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because that was he should have the most. He's a member of the Avengers. He's like very physical, and I would prefer, instead of seeing him in rooms talking to people, actually out in the street
Or
doing
just
stuff.
standing,
Absorbing bullets.
just standing
Because
there, even
his
though he's
action scenes in
super
the show are the
powerful.
same. Someone shoots at him, he shrugs at them, and then punches them, and then it's over.
Yeah.
For me, though, the problem with Luke Cage was not necessarily storyline. The storylines weren't bad. It was the delivery method
Yeah.
was
They were
so...
so boring.
It was molasses. It was so slow in its delivery, and it hurt the property so much.
And for me,
It
it was
didn't say
the
treatment.
lack of a villain in season 1.
I translated to American.
I thank you.
because-
There, thank you. Yeah. but
Don't
yeah.
do
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, I agree with Kyle. I think for Luke Cage would be the one that could benefit from being kind of shaken up a little bit. Either done in the Heroes for Hire format or him back on Jessica Jones or something. I don't know if he needs his own standalone show anymore.
Yeah, even if I really love Iron Fist and I love aspects of Luke Cage, but I don't think I would necessarily, if they went in a completely different direction, I don't think I would be heartbroken necessarily. But Daredevil, which we'll talk about more, I would definitely be heartbroken about. I don't know. There's conflicted feelings.
And it would depend too if the same actors, sorry Nick,
It's okay.
if the same actors came back on board or not. I think that would be
A deciding factor.
I'd be happy if Mike Holter stayed.
Yeah.
Yes, he's
I was
amazing.
fine with him.
he's wonderful as Luke Cage.
Especially like you said in the first season of Jessica Jones, where
Lean
he.
back.
Sorry.
What is going on?
They should say, people now.
Literally every single one of us is
All
talked.
right, Kyle, finish your point.
And then we'll go to Nick.
Pass the torch.
That was my point. It's just especially Luke Cage in the first
Yeah.
season of Jessica Jones, where he felt almost like a different character.
Hashtag great story. Nick.
I don't have it.
No,
Yes, you
hashtag
do.
the story, bro.
Right, full story, bro.
The reason I was excited
Okay.
about this was the universe. I didn't, like I said, I didn't know the other characters that well, but I was still really excited to see, because I had faith that Netflix would be able to pull it off. So if things change, like I said, I wasn't that excited about Luke Cage, but I want those characters to be able to come in and out, and I want to see if they'll do Heroes for Hire, and if we get Misty and Colleen get a
Daughters
spin-off.
of the Dragon.
Yeah, so I don't know.
Yes.
even if they do bring stuff back, it's not going to have that same feeling, and that's another reason I'm more excited about
Well, and we were
Iron
talking
Fist
about
and
that.
Daredevil.
Yeah, and that's a good point because we were talking about that even. I mean, you brought that up. There's so much content. There's so much time in between, even when they were initially on Netflix. So now we'll be waiting that much more time.
Some of the best stuff we saw was in crossover episodes when
The Iron Fist guy.
Iron Fist,
Danny Rand.
when Danny Rand and Luke Cage were together, they were good episodes. That scene in the bar with Colleen and Misty
That was so
was
I love Colleen
phenomenal.
and Misty together.
So
good.
if they do change formats to something where you get more of that, I'd be fine with that.
I agree with, and I would echo Nick's sentiments. I mean, I think for me the excitement is the universe itself. The individual characters are interesting, but when you put them all in like the same little fishbowl that is New York City boroughs and kind of see them in action with, some of them are better than others. It's interesting and it's new to me, and one of the things that I will especially talk about in our next episode is after watching these series, I've become an obsessive, at least for 2 of these properties. Like, I really want to see more Daredevil, and I really, really, really want to see more Iron Fist. And so I don't know if that's ever going to happen, but I hope they make it happen. And I would be okay, just to echo your sentiment, no matter how they did it, as long as they did it, I think I would be okay. And Mike Coulter as Luke Cage is awesome, but he's already found himself another pilot, so we'll see what happens. I don't know.
They still got to get paid.
Yeah, they got to get
They
paid.
can't wait around for 2 years.
Now we're going to go through the sort of standard looking back questions. Luke Cage was created by Cheo Hodari Coker. This was his very first TV project as creator. Would you watch other shows he creates?
No! Bye-bye. Find a new job. Have fun managing a douchebag, or a Denny's douchebag, or something like that. I think that's a Paul Costas quote.
Wow!
Answers.
What just happened?
Because it was such slow, plodding writing with such a great property that was destroyed, so he has no business writing TV.
Wow.
Spencer is a no bullshit guy.
That's true.
Like,
I
once
think
he's
he's
there,
established
it's
that.
Once I step into that space, I'm going full
no go.
force.
You're done, folks.
I don't go through the door and go, oh, sorry, wrong place. No, I'm steaming in.
Steaming is fair.
As always, I will say it'll depend on what the show would be or what the premise would be. If
Watching
it's not,
paint dry or grass grow would probably
probably
be
There it is. That's tradition too.
So again, I mean, because there's been some great shows up there that like the shows have been awesome. The creator, cool. They're making something new. Sweet, I'll check it out. This sucks. So who's to say that his
She's
next
in the steaming place
yeah.
too.
So who says his
You
next
don't wanna
project isn't going to be
invest.
yeah? So who
Maybe-
says
First
his next
impressions
project is-
count. His
They
first
do.
impression has not been
But it's
good.
also
Maybe
it's also
lessons
his
will be
first.
learned.
So
Yeah, maybe lessons
don't
will
know.
be learned.
Hillary
But I think
Clinton,
with the
Krista.
nature of the question, I'm not going to watch because
Correct.
he did it.
I would watch in spite of.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I'm not going to remember that name.
Probably also true.
Okay.
So he's just gonna watch it anyway.
right or just he
And
won't
you're
know.
like,
Yeah.
unless it's a superhero
I mean, if
boo.
it's the cinematographer from Luke Cage, I'd watch whatever he. I mean, it's a
Yeah.
beautifully
Oh,
filmed show.
absolutely.
Yeah,
But
It
yeah,
was
whoever
beautifully
whoever
filmed.
came up with the pacing and everything, which is to be the showrunner, then no.
Yeah.
yeah.
I just
I feel like that's what they're most in charge of.
Yeah, you can't do a superhero show and have the pace be that slow.
Yeah.
I think he has potential for film, but I think TV is a little out of his
It's not his
wheelhouse
medium.
because it's just.
I think he's
it's-
moving. I think he's producing movies with Jordan Peele.
Oh, that might work.
Yeah.
Is he
I would
working
be
on the
okay with
Twilight
that.
Zone show that Jordan
He
Peele?
might be.
Mm-hmm.
I know
So
that
I'm gonna
they're
watch
friends and that they were
Yeah, I'd be
writing
watching
scripts
Twilight
together.
Zone
So
stuff.
Though I agree that Luke Cage was gorgeously shot. In
It
fact,
was.
it
It
was
was
very
beautiful.
It's a
artsy.
beautiful show.
There's some great performances in it too. It
True.
just
they're kind of
Things
lost
just- it didn't
between
all
the long
mesh together.
spaces.
Yeah, the
So
long
they
spaces
lost
and
the
the musical
momentum.
interludes.
Yeah.
The musical.
I blanked those out. Now I'm like picturing them in my head and they're putting me to sleep.
Uh-huh.
I didn't mind the musical interlude just
Ugh.
because it's like I want to see what the people are
Gave you a chance to
listening
go to the bathroom?
No,
But I mean, sometimes
I
it's just like
music.
it cuts to the club and somebody on the stage, and you think, okay, it's going to go to what's actually happening.
But
and
no,
it
we
just
got like
doesn't.
a full song. It's like,
Yeah.
come on,
It's
guys,
like-
you're not a teen CW show.
I was
They
going to say they
clearly-
didn't learn the CW formula.
No, they clearly did not have enough to fill a 45-minute episode.
That's fair. I do think that's fair, but I did like the music sometimes.
The music was good. It was just out of context.
Yeah, it was too long.
It was too long.
Now, who wants to sing
They were
that
just trying to
Bulletproof
make it
Love
hard.
song from the season?
Oh,
I don't even remember
the words.
It was terrible.
So ironically, even though I didn't mind the music, I don't remember.
We're
any
starting
of
to
it.
repress it already.
Yeah, that's fine. None of it stuck. So sorry, man.
Bye.
Bye. Iron Fist was created by Scott Buck, who also created Marvel's Inhumans, which was subsequently canceled.
After like 8 episodes.
Yeah. Well, they only ordered 8.
I was
They
saying,
ordered
like,
8, but it was announced that canceled after like the second or third.
right.
Yes.
It was early.
I only watched the pilot, and it was like pulling teeth.
It was
like the
terrible.
worst
The
acting
trailer
I've
didn't
ever
even
seen.
look good.
The worst special effects I've ever seen on like a big budget TV show.
But it had Ramsey Bolton in it.
Playing Ramsey Bolton,
I see.
but
Again.
with powers. Yeah,
Oh.
he was playing the same character.
So you're saying this is no good?
If he did Inhumans, then I will never watch anything he did again. That was the worst thing I've ever seen.
Wow!
Take that.
China patterns.
Name
I
already
know,
forgot.
right? I mean,
I haven't seen Inhumans, but it's interesting to say it was the worst acting you've ever seen because I did feel that in season 1 there was some pretty poor moments acting-wise. Season 2 it definitely cleaned up.
I think that was episode direction, though, in the first
Yeah.
season, because to
Could
me
well
there
be.
were some really good episodes in the beginning of the first season and the end of the first season. The middle third
Were
had some
tough,
struggle
yeah.
bus episodes.
And some of that could have been writing. The problem with Iron Fist season 1 is every time you saw Danny Rand, he said, "I am the immortal Iron Fist."
That's true.
Yeah.
Very tedious.
Yeah.
So things like that really shouldn't happen in
Yeah.
high-level TV. You're not making a
With
student
no
film.
commercial breaks, and most of us are watching the next episode
We're
after
binging
the
it.
first,
Mhm.
so you don't need to be reminded
Yeah.
like that.
And actually,
Well, and
I think the first season of Iron Fist would have benefited by including some of the story that they started to introduce in the second season.
Well, that's
In
what
the
I think
first
my
season?
problem with the first season is, unless you're like
Flush
a
it
hardcore
out better.
comic book fan, it's like all building up this mystery, but you don't even really realize it if you don't know anything
Correct.
about the character.
I did not know.
Yeah, so I haven't rewatched season 1 after watching season 2. I wonder how much
I
more
think it would be more
enjoyable.
enjoyable.
Yeah.
Because there's little things even from the first episode that like little things about
Foreshadowings
Yeah.
and symbols and stuff.
Where will these... If I want to rewatch now that they're all canceled...
They're going
They'll
to stay.
remain
They
on
will
Netflix.
remain on
They're
Netflix.
Netflix
yeah, all the
produced
episodes they
content.
produce
Yeah.
will.
Yeah, they won't go away.
Or you could be like me and just buy them on Blu-ray just so you're safe.
So unless
Buy physical content.
unless Disney actually buys them
I mean, we
out,
just have Daredevil. I
which Bob Iger being the megalomaniac that he is, I wouldn't be surprised if they tried to buy them out. It's already obvious that they want to try and sink Netflix by taking big portions of their most popular content away. So it wouldn't be a surprise if they tried to
Spencer
buy them
is
out.
in
Yeah.
the place. He's
However,
in the
I've never been a fan of Disney since they started buying up all of these other
These
properties
IPs, yeah, the
and
laziness.
scrubbing the original creators' names and just replacing it with Disney. To me, that's
Well,
abhorrent.
it's
been their
Yeah, and you can also
motive
tell-
for a long time.
Right, and that's Bob Iger. He's trying to grow the biggest.
I was
media
gonna say-
company.
I mean, that's what they did
he
with
is
Winnie the Pooh.
basically the Bond villain
I mean, yes,
from the
but it
bad
was
Bond
still,
movie.
but it was
What
still
does he do for
different. I
Disney?
mean, the
He's the head of Disney.
Yeah.
I would say
Yeah.
the actual Disney family still tried to be somewhat respectful. The person that he's talking about does not care. It's all about
No.
the dollar sign.
It
Yeah.
is. But thankfully,
Well, it's because it's a
Bobby's
publicly
time is
traded
limited.
company,
Yeah.
and it's all about making money for your shareholders. I really do believe he's the Antichrist.
I thought it was better after
Yeah.
Michael
Leave that
left,
in.
but-
Repeat what you
Sue
said,
me, Bob.
Kristen.
Bobby's time is limited.
Yes.
Why is he old?
You know, he's retiring.
Ageist.
There is
Oh,
there is a
is.
succession plan in place. He is not going to be the head of Disney for much longer. He's got a couple. His contract was extended only just by a few years.
His deal with Satan is almost done.
Correct. Says the girl who is a fan of Disney, but
Yeah,
not,
I am a big
not
fan
the
of Disney
corporate
too, but not that part of it.
side,
I'm
but
drinking from a Disney mug.
I watched the biography
They
on
own
Walt
you.
Disney on Netflix last night.
Yeah.
So, that's me.
But
I
that's
watched that a
different.
while
It is
ago.
different.
Got teary-eyed.
I did too.
So I don't think I would follow Scott Buck.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
I wouldn't go specifically because his name's attached to
Correct.
something.
No.
It would have to be a property I'm already interested in.
Right.
I wouldn't not watch it because of him based on what I saw with Iron Fist.
Agreed with what you all just said.
Yep.
All of that.
That
I-
was
that's
perfectly
kind-
summed up.
yeah.
Yes. But I did super love Iron Fist. In case you didn't know.
No,
We did.
We got it.
Okay, good.
Did you want to tell us again?
I really super love
I
Iron
was-
Fist.
She didn't ask
Not-
you, do you
yeah.
tell him? I'm wondering.
Defenders was co-created by Doug Petrie and Marco Ramirez. This miniseries constituted both writers' first TV project as creators, either together or separately, though they have each written on other famous shows. Would you watch other shows they create?
Same answer.
Yeah, it would come down to depending on what it is.
Yeah.
Not because of them.
No.
Yeah.
I'm not going to follow them specifically.
Agreed. I mean, they made something they were told to make. That's how I feel about it.
I mean, a lot of people are just excited to get the opportunity. You know?
Right. Exactly. So I don't think it's very indicative, really. And they had to... I mean, I sort of envision them as corralling all of the other showrunners and creators and saying, okay, help us make these 4 characters translate to this miniseries. Now, would you follow any of the stars of Luke Cage, Iron Fist? Well, that's it.
Yeah.
That's the other thing is more complicated.
Yeah.
Would you follow any of the stars of Luke Cage or Iron Fist to new projects? Why or why not? And who?
I would have said yes to... I was excited when I saw that Theo Rossi was in this after watching Sons of Anarchy. The character of Juice in Sons of Anarchy was compelling. I did not like the character of Shades. I did not think it was done well. He became very whiny.
annoying.
Yeah.
And by the end, he basically became
so
had the
weird.
same character arc as his character from Sons of Anarchy, which was just
probably why they cast
became
him.
a snitch, and like I didn't.
Yeah, he's a good actor, but
In this show, it was just bad writing for him. The character wasn't done well. The others, I would probably watch whatever Mike Colter's in next time and
Me too.
see.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoyed him.
He's supposed to play some sort of creature that fights the supernatural in this as yet unnamed pilot.
For what network?
CBS, I think.
I like Mike Coulter. I'd probably check him out. And then, was it, Mahershala
Mahershala
Ali?
Ali.
I'm watching season 3 of True Detective right now, and he is incredible.
He's good in a lot of things.
He's won 2 Oscars.
I can understand why he's
Back
won
to
2
back.
Oscars. Again, I don't remember him in season 1 of Luke Cage. It's A, been that long, and B, I was not that interested in him in this series, which I'm really surprised by. But I love him in everything else I've seen him in.
He was really good in House of Cards.
Yeah, I haven't watched that yet. I'll take your word for it. Yeah, Elfrey Woodard is always great.
Yeah, she is.
Rosario Dawson, she's solid. She does a range of stuff from hard.
Well, she's a fangirl like us, so
Yeah.
that always makes it more
Yeah.
fun when somebody who's a fan of the works are in it.
Who was misused to the point of where she quit the show.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I mean, rightfully so. If they were the way that I feel, if I was being misused, I knew it should be different. I would probably do the same thing.
Simone Missick, who played Misty, will be in the 2nd season of Altered Carbon.
Interesting.
Oh, cool. I didn't know they were doing a 2nd season because it really felt like a good standalone.
They was going to be a standalone. Pretty much the reception it got convinced them that there's more stories to tell.
Fantastic show.
That's cool.
I liked her as Misty. I think she was
really
great.
liked her as
I did
Misty,
too.
especially in
And
the second
she played
season
up the
in Iron
bionic
Fist.
arm really, really well.
She did great.
Yeah, I had my reservations because in the first season, but it was just all the Luke Cage, the writers, doing her bad. But once she was on Iron Fist,
Yeah.
she
Loved
was
her on
Misty.
Iron Fist.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
She was
She-
definitely one of the high points.
Yeah, she really, really came into her own on Iron Fist.
I'd follow Mike, Marshala, and Simone. I don't know that I mean, Rosario bonus, Alfrey bonus.
Yeah.
They're in so much. And
They are. You'll
I
see
like
them again.
But nobody else. I've never seen Sons of Anarchy. It's requested for the podcast, but
Great show.
someday I'll watch it. I haven't been motivated to yet. But
Not a show I would have picked for myself to watch.
Uh-huh.
Somebody else said it was good. I watched a couple episodes and got hooked.
Okay, good to know. What about Iron Fist?
What was the question?
Would you follow any of these actors to other projects?
I said I wanted to for both.
Yeah, I watched Finn Jones and Jessica Henwick on Game of Thrones.
That's true. Jessica Henwick was one of the Sand sisters.
She was pretty annoying
Yeah,
on Game
Finn
of Thrones.
Jones.
She
The
was.
character
Loris.
was supposed to be.
She was supposed
the
to
character
be.
was supposed to be.
Yeah.
Loris
okay.
Tyrell.
He got blowed up.
Yep.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah,
At
hashtag.
this
I've
point.
seen Sacha Dhawan before, and I liked him. I didn't really like
was in
him so
Sherlock.
much in. He's been in a lot of things,
Yeah.
a lot of British stuff. Decent actor, so I wouldn't not watch it because of him.
Right.
Yeah, I don't think that I would specifically. Maybe Jessica Henwick, just because she really impressed me in Iron Fist.
Yeah,
I loved
I
Kylie.
really liked her.
Colleen was fantastic.
She was utterly forgettable because the Sand sisters were utterly forgettable in Game of Thrones, so I don't think I'd base it on that, but I really liked her as Colleen, and I might be interested. The others, I don't feel any kind of loyalty toward
No.
as a result of Iron Fist.
No, Finn
Actually,
Jones I would definitely follow, though.
I might be interested in the actor that played Ward. I thought,
Elfrey.
especially in the second season, he became really quite compelling in season
Oh, yeah.
2.
He
Especially
showed, I think, the
for
most
first season.
range.
Yeah.
Yeah, he
He
really
had the
did.
biggest story arc, I feel like, your character arc.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because
character-wise, he
Danny
did
is
Character
always
development.
pretty much the same. He's always like that moral, naive, but yeah, seeing
I don't wear
Ward's
shoes.
whole transformation and going from high and low was an amazing performance.
And kind of teetering on between good and bad.
Yeah.
And he had great range. So if he was in a series and it was a concept that I liked the look of, I would definitely watch it.
Other than soap operas, he's been in Banshee, which was on Cinemax. It's like this. I watched the first season. It's like this. It's really weird, honestly. It's kind of like a Western, but it's set in a Pennsylvania Amish town. It's like too small a town, but there's like so much crime in it that you're like, are they all criminals? Like, it's not that big. But I haven't seen him yet. He wasn't in the first season.
Murder, She Wrote. A lot of murders in that small town.
Hey, she travels.
She does.
She does
but
travel.
Still, a lot of murders in
There,
that.
there has to be like a post episode where it works out that she's actually been the murderer
Yeah.
all along.
That's my favorite fan theory.
So we're gonna go around the water cooler now. For each show, Luke Cage, Iron Fist, you don't have to cover the Defenders, but you can if you want. What are your top 3 pros and bottom 3 cons?
With Iron Fist, it got better and better to the point where when season 2 ended, I was so looking forward to a season 3. The acting got better all the way through on it, and the negative is that it got cancelled.
Luke Cage.
Luke Cage, I liked Mike Coulter, and that's really about it.
Everything else was cons.
It was just so slow. I can't get past the pacing of it.
Like,
I feel like I lost a year of my life watching it.
I wish I
Yeah.
could like take a picture of Spencer's
Spencer's
face
face.
You can't.
every time.
Oh.
I know, but just so that she can put it on the camera.
This is the Luke Cage watching face.
Yeah.
I mean, you
The
make
many
that
faces of
happen and I'll post
Defenders.
it.
Yes.
Yeah.
You could change the 5-star rating to the 1 star 0 being
Spencer's face.
Spencer's face.
Spencer's face when talking about Luke Cage.
So one star pass on this one, guys. It's a snoozer. It's not
If-
good. It's not.
I think
No, add in a 0.
I
Spencer's
really
face.
think that if you are on an aircraft and it's about to crash, they should put Luke Cage on because it will put you into a coma, which will relax your body and give you a better chance of survival.
How's a really
People
complex
start killing
now.
themselves on the plane before it
Or
hits.
you'll kill yourself before you hit the ground, which might be a nicer way to go.
Yikes.
This is really spicy.
We just don't like the show.
Okay, so you're like
I'm feeling
Iron
better about the
Fist, mostly
cancellations when we're
pros.
talking about Luke Cage.
Luke
Yeah.
Cage, mostly cons.
Yep.
Yeah,
That didn't follow the 3 rule.
didn't at all.
Ever.
I'll try
No.
to follow the
Kylie sets up rules so they can be broken.
Yep.
And Spencer's mind, and sometimes Kristen's. Go.
Hey.
Cons for
true.
Luke
And Nick's.
Cage. Cons for Luke Cage. The
Uh-huh.
pacing
Uh-huh.
is the biggest one. What else?
Pacing.
Yeah.
And
I was
pacing.
gonna
It's
take
worth
my
mentioning
time.
3 times.
Yeah.
He was going
With
for
very
a joke,
awkward pauses
Spencer.
between.
He was
Yeah.
trying to pace like Luke Cage.
Fair. But I want to get home sometime tonight.
That's also fair. The pacing kills it, and then as much as I like, one of my pros is Alfred Woodard. I enjoy her, but I feel like between her and whoever in season 1, it didn't have the strong enough villain that we just had gotten from Daredevil and Jessica Jones.
So pacing and villains.
Maybe I just have 2, sorry.
How about pros? Any?
I like Mike Coulter as the part. Cinematography, like Kyle said, was good. It was beautiful to watch, but after a while it then started feeling like staring at the same painting, so that goes back to the pacing.
Just 2 pros?
Yeah.
Iron Fist?
The Misty Colleen relationship was one of my favorite things. The world they were creating, that, like, one of the pros is that there's so much that I want to learn even more about. So one of the cons is we're not gonna get to it. Like, watching it not knowing it was canceled was amazing. Now I feel like rewatching it, it's just gonna be a disappointment.
It's gonna hurt you in your soul.
Not a strong villain in season 1 is my second con, and then I really Ward's sister.
Joy.
Joy. I did not like how they handled her character in season 2. Both seasons, but in season 2 it was even worse for me. The way she held the
waffled
grudge.
a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she seemed to switch too easily.
Yeah.
Yes. And switch extremes, not just like she didn't switch back and forth near the
Like in a
fulcrum.
moderate
She
level
was
at
like,
least.
did I give 3 pros there?
Doesn't
I feel like I
matter.
gave 3 cons.
There was the mythology. And
Misty and Colleen.
Misty and Colleen.
Yeah, that's good enough.
Okay. Fair enough.
So for Luke Cage, obviously the cons for me is number one's always going to be pacing. Then the action scenes, they're anemic. I mean, they're all the same. It was literally the same thing every time there was some sort of fight. Is the exact same. I mean, even
hit, fly, thud. Hit, fly, thud.
They were so much more creative when he was on Jessica Jones, like showing him, like
Yes.
with like the electric, with the saw, and like different ways his skin.
So many
Wasn't
missed
breaking.
opportunities.
Yeah, in different ways he could use his skin. And then in this, they just do the whole bullets bounce off again and again and again and again. And then the last con is the villain. There wasn't a single interesting. I mean, I know that good actors as villains, but I didn't like the villains themselves at all. So weak villains. And then pros, cinematography, like I said, Mike Coulter is good. I would love to see him as Luke Cage in a proper version of Luke Cage. And then the last part would just be the interactions between Luke and Danny, but we only got that in season 2 and not enough of it. But it was still a highlight of the entire run. Iron Fist, I'll start with the pros because I don't have a whole lot of cons with that one. But obviously the mythology. Other than Daredevil, I feel like, especially because there's a whole lineages of Iron Fist, they've had a chance to build up so much history with that character too, more so than like Luke Cage and the rest. And Jessica Jones has a very short, brief history in the comics, but they have so much to draw from, and they were just starting to touch it. So that was a strong point, and the next season would have been so good. And then my second pro is the ensemble. I think worked better because even on Daredevil, there are times when it cuts to a character and you're like, I'd rather be seeing Matt do something, or I'd rather see Kingpin. But with Iron Fist, I cared about all the characters and what they were doing and how they mattered to each other. And honestly, I think that I actually liked the direction on Iron Fist too. I thought the fights were just as well done as on Daredevil, and the pacing moved better, so I felt like it was a better run show. Cons. I mean, I would say the first season was slow for people who don't know for people who aren't initiated with the comic books, it was probably a little bit slower, but I didn't have a problem with that just because I was familiar and I knew what they were seeding. Other than that, the repeated, I am the immortal Iron Fist. But I think that bothered everybody. I think that's about it. I can't really pick a whole lot of cons for that one because I love that show.
Yeah, I just really want to piggyback off of what everyone else is saying. With Luke Cage, it's the same thing. It's the pacing. They could have done more with the characters. I think that they had just a few missed opportunities with the action sequences. While the direction was going in the right direction at times, as did the direction in the show. So there's that. But again, I love all the actors, or most of them, for sure. I think that was also a missed opportunity with the characters. The actors themselves were just kind of wasted with the talent that was there. The cinematography was pretty. I didn't get tired. I mean, he said maybe paint a different picture, but I liked the picture that was presented. I just wanted more to go along with it.
You felt it was shallow.
Yeah, I feel like that pretty much sums it up. I can't necessarily pinpoint. It's just the reactions and the feelings you get after the fact. With Iron Fist, yeah, I pretty much, everything that Kyle just said and tidbits of what Spencer and Nick just said. I mean, I come into a comic book show to see those character interactions. We got more from that with Iron Fist. We did get more development overall. It was slower in the first season, so that would be a con there. But to me, I still really enjoyed it. I still like the look of that show, too. I mean, they gave each show a very distinct look, and it helped to build that characterization. Oh, man. It's hard. I don't know. I think I'm just piggybacking off of what they're saying, because I don't think I'm really saying anything that much different, but yeah, that pretty much sums it up. I liked one more than the other, as I already said.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, being one of the last two to go, everything that I'm going to say is pretty much a piggyback, so I'm not really going to reiterate too much. But yeah, Luke Cage, no compelling villain, the pacing, and just how everything was so repetitive within especially the battle, like the action sequences were very repetitive, very slow. You know, yes, it was beautiful. The cinematography was one of the best of the Defender shows, but like Nick said, I wanted another picture, or at least a larger picture to look at. However, a pro for Luke Cage and for Iron Fist, I loved the crossovers between the two shows. That was a highlight for both. Luke Cage, not really gonna miss it. Iron Fist, on the other hand, you know, it got better over time. I loved where they ended season 2, and I was really looking forward to a season 3. But yeah, other than that, everything else everybody said, I'll just echo.
I'm going to sound like an echo, so I won't explain much. Top 3 pros for Luke Cage for me, Mike Coulter, the cinematography. I'm going to throw in Simone Missick. She was horribly misused in the first season, but I don't think that was her fault. I mean, I think that she has acting chops. She got way more compelling in the second season. I thought that there was missed opportunities for her character, but she managed what she was given. So those would be my 3 top pros. Cons already been mentioned. The pacing, the weak villains are the biggest 2. I would also throw in sort of these supplemental characters. I don't think this was a very well-formed ensemble. The action sequences were repetitive. I don't think they bothered me as much because by that time I was so underwhelmed by the villains anyway that the action didn't really mean a whole lot to me. But I thought that some of the characters were really, really interesting, and then some of the characters I was like, why are you here? They spent way too much time with Shades. He was kind of a weird character. He had potential, but I don't think the writers handled him properly, so then by the end of the series you were like, why are you still here? And
so that still goes back to pacing, basically.
It goes back to pacing, but it also goes back to writing around him, and I don't think Via Rossi's a bad actor. Again, maybe it's what the writers gave him to manage, so the opposite of, or the same as Simone Missick, but I didn't like his character at all, as opposed to Misty, which I liked some of the time. Iron Fist. Well, that's mostly going to be pros. The mythology, yes. Gosh, I'm so obsessed now, and I'll never get to know. Maybe I'll get to know.
You could read the comics.
I could read the comics that Kyle probably has somewhere very close by. So that's one thing. I really love the mythology. I love the whole story. I just want to know more. It's very interesting. I love dragons. It's awesome. The ensemble, awesome. The action got way better in the second season. I didn't take as much offense to it in the first season. Some people did. They thought it was too Crouching Tiger. I didn't care. It was fun for me. I thought it was a whole new, interesting character that I had not hitherto been exposed to, and so all of those things were fun. I do agree that pacing in the first season was a little sluggish in the middle third. I do agree that David Wenham was not the best. His character was not the best. They misused that a little bit. He could have actually worked a little bit better as a B villain if they had dovetailed the first 2 seasons worth of story together, and then he was kind of like, oh, the hand is back here, and then maybe they would have developed the hand a little better. I think he was part of the misuse of the hand, which then translated into the Defenders. But other than that, I really, really loved Iron Fist. I love Daredevil more, but I really, really love Iron Fist, in case you didn't know. Would you recommend Luke Cage, Iron Fist, or The Defenders now that the show's futures on Netflix have been determined and with the characters' futures uncertain for 2 years? If not, what would you recommend instead?
I would recommend Iron Fist and Defenders, and other people like Luke Cage, and since it's part of a bigger puzzle, I would let them know that it wasn't my cup of tea.
Don't watch it first.
Yeah.
Because it would turn you off from even thinking about watching.
Watch it in order with the whole universe, and then you can decide Luke Cage. I would prepare them.
See, I still think you could cut out watching Luke Cage because you're still introduced to him in Jessica Jones, and you understand that he's a hero and what his powers are and how he connects to that world. I think you could cut it out completely, other than the introduction of Misty, but she gets a pretty decent introduction in Defenders anyway, where she's being more in character. So I don't think I could recommend Luke Cage to people. It's just that boring to me.
Wow. Stop it.
I can't help it. It's my reaction. It was honest. I would recommend it like Nick recommended it. Watch the universe in order. You may or may not like Luke Cage. Some people really, really liked it.
Yeah,
it puzzles all of us, but they do.
I'd have people start it and tell them if you aren't liking it, then you don't have to finish it.
Yeah, because I still agree. Like even if they might like it, but it doesn't necessarily add anything to the whole puzzle, which is what he was saying. So if you don't watch it, you're not going to necessarily miss out on too much like story arc or anything that fits into everything else.
I would have him watch that one episode where he
with Danny Rand.
Is season 1 also the episode that basically you see his origin? I feel like we all kind of like
the
that.
prison origin.
Yeah.
So you could pick and choose if you really couldn't get through the main arc.
But if you feel like it's dragging, it's not going to get better. If you're enjoying it, then keep watching it.
Season 2 was good. You could watch Season 2 without even needing Season 1 because the Defender seeds Season 2, not Season 1. You might wonder why he's got a barbershop. That's about it.
Fair point, actually.
You could look it up.
I mean really, did you wonder how he got a bar in Jessica Jones?
Yes, I did.
I mean, you don't.
Why is he in the bar in the Hell's Kitchen? And why did he leave? They didn't explain that.
See, I didn't think about any of that. I was just like,
I think about that
It
stuff.
got blown up and destroyed.
Depends on what it is. Like
Have you
in the
seen the
context
cost
of
of the real
Jessica Jones,
estate?
at that point, I was
You're
not
sitting
thinking about
building
that.
in Holland will cost you a boatload.
Any parting shots or hopes and dreams?
I mean, I hope to see more of Iron Fist somehow.
My hopes and dreams are all negative towards Bob Iger.
I see. That's a parting shot. No.
It's pretty
I mean,
much, I think, what we've already established.
Yeah.
I mean, I just
We
hope to see
discussed.
these characters again, and hopefully not in the far future.
Would
Yeah,
you watch
this-
them if they appear? Would all of you? This is everybody. Would you all watch them if they reappeared somewhere else?
Yeah.
I would give them all a chance.
Me too.
Yeah, chance of depend on who's playing them and what format.
I
they're in.
always watch comic book things, so
You're obligated because you want to sometimes.
no, I want to all the time. But yeah, it's definitely when you have a husband who's obsessed with specific characters, you're definitely going to watch it.
Anything else that we haven't said? Any last words for Luke Cage, Iron Fist, and the Defenders?
R.I.P.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bring back Iron Fist! Do something with Iron Fist. That's how I feel.
You know, I really wouldn't mind if they brought back Iron Fist with a different person playing Iron Fist.
Aww. I don't know if I can cap to that.
I think it could improve the show. He was good. He was much better by the end of season 2, but I think they could have had a better actor playing Danny Rand.
That's what all the people who didn't like Iron Fist said.
I did like Iron Fist, but I think it could have been better.
I think he's the weakest of the four
I do
title
too.
characters in this universe. I would agree with that.
Wow.
And I usually stick by my Brits, but
Well, I mean, in certain aspects, like if you know the character, I mean, he does fit certain aspects, but there are certain things
He fits the naivety,
Yes,
but he doesn't fit
fit
the
the-
head of Rand Industries
No.
version of Danny. Because Danny should be split between the two. Like he's
See, now
a
the
brilliant
truth comes
businessman,
out.
which he doesn't show.
Well, and he's
Well, I
kinda-
still enjoy that actor, and I still enjoy because he was doing a version of that character, but
Yeah.
you weren't getting the full spectrum.
Yes, that's what I was trying to say.
Which
It's
I think
like,
is what Spencer's saying. You could get a better actor who can show that more
a bit
size.
more range.
And then-
and that could have been writing.
Yeah.
I don't know. I
But
felt like he could have been
yeah.
more compelling as an individual.
Yeah, I mean, he's not necessarily wrong if it could be somebody else. Not to say that Finn is like terrible or anything, but it could just be elevated. Sorry.
I'm going to blame it on the writing, but I'm not married either way.
Here's also a way of looking at it. If you were casting a movie version, would you cast him in the lead role? And I don't think you would.
I can't say that right now because it's too close. Maybe after time passed, I'd feel like what you're saying. But right now, it's too close to the time in which they can't.
You're like up against these other heavy hitters.
I
and-
don't think that he could lead a movie of any sort. I
No.
don't think he is a
Like a
leading man
standalone
movie
to
actor.
have all
He
these
has potential.
Picture him with
He needs a lot
Robert
more under
Downey
his belt.
Jr. as
Robert
Iron
Downey
Man.
Jr. And that's what I said. The heavy hitters, like people are just for one movie flocking to theater. People are not going to flock.
No, they
Probably
won't
for
flock
Starring
to Iron Fist.
Finn Jones.
That's true. They weren't even flocking toward Netflix. This was the lowest watched.
They'll recast him with somebody named Chris for the Marvel movies, I'm sure.
That does seem to be the trend. Anything else you want to say about Iron Fist? Luke Cage, The Defenders.
We've said it all, friend.
Yeah, we're good.
Well, good. If you've said it all and you're good, then I guess what I have to do is thank Spencer, Nick, Kylie, Hillary, and Kristen for joining me to talk about the cancellations, sad though that might be, of these 3 Marvel's Defenders properties. And because we've talked about these cancellations of these 3 Marvel's Defenders properties, I now have to send it off into the sunset by saying CPU is produced by Back Pocket Productions, run by yours truly, the Chief Couch Potato, and hails from Grand Rapids, Michigan. Please, if you like what you hear, would you take the time to rate us on iTunes, Stitcher Radio, or Google Play? That means give us stars, the comments, the reviews. Tell us how we're doing, what you liked, what you don't. Did you want to see these shows continue in their Netflix places, or are you going to follow these characters if they resurrect them sometime soon? Let us know what you think by commenting at our website, couchpotatoesunite.wordpress.com, at our social media, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And of course, we add new and old shows to chat about around the water cooler all the time. We have several more new episodes coming down the pike because we always do. And if you miss old episodes or want to know in general what we cover, just find us. We're everywhere. Google for us. Subscribe to our website, channels, social media. Stay up on our new events and episodes. And we have lots of cool new events and episodes right around the corner. Until the next time, the Defenders series are only available on Netflix because that is the network who made them and who should pay us for saying so. In the meantime, our Marvel's Defenders series panel will next reconvene very shortly, in fact, to discuss season 3 of Daredevil. So until next time, until next episode, new episodes are published every Wednesday. Keep listening, keep watching, stay tuned.
Bye.
Bye.